Perfect. Thank you for joining us for mid-sized to large firms workflows for efficiencies and firm growth. Sorry, you want to begin?
My name's Nefra McDonald. I am the Affinity Programs Manager here at Clio. I've been in the legal industry for about 10 years and legal tech for about 5, and it's my pleasure to be here today. I am a process geek, and I enjoy also speaking about attorney health and wellness, so I hope to inject some of that in our presentation today.
And I'm Rylan. I'm the Manager of Talent Acquisition at Clio. I've been fortunate to be with a couple different organizations that have gone through some significant growth. Before Clio, I was with an organization that went from about 60 to 120 people in just under a year. And now at Clio, I've seen us grow from about 150 to 450 people in just under 2.5 years. And the lens I'd like to bring to this conversation is what happens when you're introducing more people to your firm or your organization, and what happens with the tools that you're consistently using. You need to begin to change to think about how are you using those tools as you get larger and larger in your growth. So, quick question. Who here owns their own firm? Who here is okay, good representation. And who here is a lawyer in a growing firm? You've added some people over the last couple of years. Okay, you're in the right talk, good. And who here is a paralegal or works in one of these growing firms as well? Okay, perfect. That gives us a sense of the types of audience that we'll be speaking to. And what are some of your struggles? What are some of the things that you're working through right now or things you're hoping to get from this talk? Just shout it out.
Shy people, okay. Could it be your billing process? Or too many documents? Or communication across your firm? Resonate with people? Yeah, okay, good. All right.
Some nods.
So we've definitely got some pain points there. What about the client experience? Have you thought about that? Yeah, okay, lots of talk about that. So we'll definitely touch on some of those things today.
Yeah, we're going to go through a lot of different things today. So hopefully you'll take some different pieces away from this. Unlike some of the other sessions throughout the last 2 days, we won't be doing super deep dives into any areas, but hopefully we'll be giving you some different things that you can take away and either go to the smart bar or have continued conversations about. So the question that we'd like to ask is, what are you going to be taking back to your firm to thrive?
All right, so you'll be familiar with this image from Jack's keynote. So we want to make sure that we touch on here just to frame up what we're going to be talking about today. So firms that are able to achieve consistent, predictable growth over time, called high-growth firms, do so as a result of 2 critical factors: client experience and firm performance. So firms that progress along that client experience axis are those that are going to be becoming responsive to client needs. These are the firms that know how to attract new business and earn strong client satisfaction across the board. So firms that progress along the productivity axis put more time toward revenue-generating tasks, reduce overhead costs, and invest time in time-saving initiatives. So high-growth firms progress along both these axes. So Rylan's going to go over today's agenda and kind of frame up for you why we're highlighting this as well.
Okay. So we've got 5 stops that we'll go through on the talk today. We'll start off talking about cloud security and some people practices and permissions that you can take back to your firm. We'll go over grow and taking control of your business and painting a boutique firm experience as you continue to scale. We'll talk about the modern law firm, and we'll actually get deep into some of the customizations and the customizations you can do at your firm. We'll talk specifically about billing and cleaning up some critical processes, and go over the mobile app as well and building a firm around your life. So to start off, let's dive into security. So a couple things about security. One, Clio is setting the standard for legal software. We have a team of dedicated security experts located in our Vancouver and our Calgary offices, and they're building the product with best practices and state-of-the-art infrastructure. Clio is tested and certified as endorsed as being secured. And not only is Clio a product specifically secure, but when we work with LawPay, they have PCI compliance, and all of the data centers that we work with have SOC 2 approved compliance as well. If you're not familiar with SOC 2 compliance, that's fine. It just ensures that we're ensuring security, availability, processing integrity, confidentiality, and privacy of customer data. We're also endorsed as being secure. We are endorsed by over 66 bars, as well as we're founding members of the LCCA, the Legal Cloud Computing Association. So all this is to say that our product is very secure. You don't need to worry about working with Clio as a product, and as you continue to grow your firm, know that Clio can be the backbone for all those stages of growth. One thing that you can think about as you continue to scale your firm, though, is the people side of that. As you continue to scale and having more individuals joining your firm, it's not so much the data that's sitting in Clio, but it's the folks that are accessing that data that are in your firm that you might want to think about beginning to educate or continue to have protocols around what security looks like at your firm. So, raise of hands, who here has two-factor authentication set up with Clio right now? Okay, so a couple hands. So two-step verification is a relatively easy thing to set up, and it really increases the security of the data at your firm. It essentially turns your phone into a key. So what happens is you type in your password, and additionally you'll get pinged with a number, and you can put that into your Clio and access the data. So it's that extra step to ensure that if passwords get lost or if passwords get unfortunately taken, you still have that extra layer of security, and something I definitely recommend you consider, and you can do this in settings. Another thing to look at is privacy within your own firm. As you continue to scale, not everybody in your firm is going to need access to all of the data within the firm, and you can set up permissions to make sure that certain lawyers working in different practice areas are really only seeing the information that's important to them. You can do this by setting up, additionally, customized groups. So if there's certain lawyers that might be focusing on different areas, you can customize the permissions there. But again, something to think about as you continue to grow and adding more individuals to your firm, who really needs access to what areas of the product. And lastly, if you want to take security the next step, there's a couple things that you can begin to think about implementing in your firm. One would be having, obviously, password-secured devices. Hopefully everybody's device is password-secured, and additionally, 2FA is something you can look at. But having a password manager like a LastPass or 1Password. Has anybody heard of LastPass or 1Pass, a password manager? Couple hands? Yeah, so this is a great way where you don't need to remember all of those multiple passwords anymore. You can have one place with one highly encrypted or highly secure password to access all of the passwords that the folks in your firm may need. As well as an owner, you can then administer that to make sure that everybody is having secure passwords. And if somebody leaves your firm or joins your firms, you can easily set them up with the passwords that they need. You can also think about network-wide tools for malware protection, training your staff on phishing attacks, so phishing attack being an email that's sent to your firm trying to get information to be used maliciously against your firm, or mobile device management, so making sure that the devices as you're on the go are continued to be managed and maintained. So there's quite a few things in there, and as we said off the top, we're going to go over a lot of different aspects. So again, challenge you to think, what security protocols does your firm have in place? And a great place to start is just thinking about it. You know, what does security mean at our firm, and starting that conversation. Once you build that base, then you can grow from there. So up next, that was security. Now we'll go on to Clio Grow and client experience during intake.
Excellent. All right, so let's frame this up for you. In 2016, we kind of broke the legal industry when we let you all know, listen, you're only billing 2.4 hours a day. And everyone was really upset by this. No, there's no way that's true. So in 2018, we took another stab at this and said, let's drill down into this and see where your time is actually going. So 33% of your time is going to tasks around business development. So that can be things like marketing, corresponding with clients. Another 16% went to office administration, and another 15% went to generating and sending bills. These are non-billable activities. So creating efficiencies around these areas are really, really going to help you. The other thing that we want to think about is the end-to-end client journey. So this was introduced in last year's Legal Trends report as well. And Clio Grow is going to help you address this beginning part of the client journey. And why this is important is because this is typically non-billable time, and it can also be very cumbersome. But this is also an area and an opportunity for growth. You want to be able to bring in new clients and give them the most amazing first impression of your firm. So the features that Rylan will take you through today will help you think about this better. But we want to frame this up for you even better and just kind of guide you. How many of you are actually using Clio Grow right now? Okay, all right, so there are a few of you here, so there will be some ideas in here for you as to how to utilize it better. But for those of you that have never seen Clio Grow before, I hope you've had some time to take a look at it while you've been at the conference and attend some other sessions. So we want to focus on the onboarding experience with clients. We want to focus on those custom intake forms. We want to focus on electronic signatures, easy scheduling, reminders. We want to utilize automation, so nothing falls through the cracks. Another word for automation that we can use to kind of take the stress off of it is efficiency, increased efficiency. So we want to increase efficiency on non-billable tasks during that new client acquisition process. So we want to combine that automation and those increased efficiencies with a more sales-focused mindset at this client phase to see reduction in admin time and an increase in profitability for your cases. And then the third thing we want to focus on is getting that insight. So we want to make sure that we're utilizing all of the data that you're putting into Clio Grow to make very smart business decisions moving forward. Whether it's seeing a bottleneck in your process during the intake, or realizing that you might need to put more money into a certain marketing area or for a specific practice area, you're going to be able to get all of these insights in a way that you've never been able to track them before. So this is a really, really powerful tool that we'd love for you to take advantage of.
So the client experience, how do you ensure that as you continue to scale and your practice grows, you don't lose sight of that client experience? So going over Clio Grow fairly high level, we can see here, this is what you would get as your main dashboard. You've got 4 different columns that is the funnel that matters would move through as they continue to move through. But this really puts you in control of your business. It gives you a snapshot of your leads and your potential new business. And each stage allows you to take a step back and be more thoughtful about that client experience as they move through that funnel. So you've got your, let's see if I can use my, look at that, little laser. You've got your newly added column here. You've got your intake form sent, your consult scheduled, as well as pending engagement letter. So we'll go through a couple of those stages so you can think about how you can be thoughtful about that path. So it all starts with that first appointment. So after you've engaged with them, you've sent them a form, and they're interested in coming in and sitting down and speaking. Jack mentioned this at his keynote. We're really excited to be launching this as a new feature within Clio Grow. But this is essentially the experience that a potential client would have. So they've said, I'm interested in sitting down. You've sent them an email with a form that they can populate. All of this looks branded to your firm, and they're getting this experience as we can walk through. They can see selecting a date, a time to come meet. They can confirm that, fill out some more information that will be put right into Clio Grow and can be moved over to Clio Manage as well. Confirm that initial consultation, put any notes that they would like to give you a heads up, and confirm it. So that really shows you a really slick and easy client experience for when they're introduced and coming into your firm. And if you think back to George's LTR data and some of the conversations that we've seen through LTR, that first interaction, being quick with that responsiveness and ensuring that they're getting into your pipeline and hopefully into your office or on the phone as quickly as possible, is really important to engaging and growing your business. Once they're in your funnel, you can see an overview of the matter. On the right-hand side, you can see a workflow, and you can actually customize that based on your firm. You've got intake, questionnaires, tasks, all of that is things that you can do a deeper dive into to make sure that everybody within your firm is interacting with clients in a seamless way and in a standard way, building out that brand. On the left-hand side, you can see some core information about the matter. Scrolling down. On the right-hand side, again, we can see a timeline, so everybody in your firm can keep connected. They know what's happening and where this person's currently at. If you own the firm as well, or want to see where different stages are, or you're partnering on a certain case, you can easily check in because it's all connected. And then on the left-hand side, you can track the source of the information, which we'll get to in a couple of slides of where that's really important.
So for those of you that said that you struggled with communication, this is going to give you a lot more of it in a way that does not require a direct conversation. You can just head into a matter that could be in that pipeline and pick up where somebody else left off or see the last thing that was done.
Here we also we can get more thoughtful about how we're scaling our business. Is again, that idea of putting yourself in the driver's seat and not leaving growth up to chance, but really being thoughtful about where you're putting your money in terms of marketing or what you're focusing on growing. You can see at the top, we've got matters added, so just the number of work that's coming through Clio Grow. In the middle, pipeline value, so the value that's sitting where they're ready for, waiting for you to move it along and getting into Clio Manage, as well as your conversion ratio or the conversion rate of getting from that initial interest all the way through to conversion. As we scroll down, you can get an idea of the number of matters that are happening, so you can begin to see growth in the number of matters that you're working on. You can look at the pipeline value and begin to break it up in ways so you can be more thoughtful about where you're investing your money in terms of marketing. And that conversion rate on the different marketing initiatives that you're looking at. So you can be tracking the source. Do I want to be putting a little bit of money into Google Ads, or should I be looking at my website? How are my referrals doing? Just getting a high-level pulse check on the marketing initiatives you're doing to grow your firm. We've got another visualization here of that reporting. So again, it's customizable depending on your firm's needs. Everybody's a bit different. And lastly, you can break it up by matter type as well. So just another way that you can begin to do a deeper dive into Clio Grow. So all of this to say, that was a really quick run through of Clio Grow. There's a lot more that you can learn about Clio Grow. If this is piqued your interest, then definitely go to the Smart Bar and sit down, meet with our sales team, and chat a little bit about how you could be leveraging this. Speaking to an audience like this, we're wanting to keep it fairly high level so that you can get different tidbits. But at the end of the day, how will you ensure a boutique firm experience as you continue to scale? So we've gone through the first two. We went through cloud security. Now we've done an overview of Clio Grow. We'll keep on moving, and Nefra will walk us through the modern law firm, some customization, automation, and integrations.
Excellent. So let's talk about some customization. So your Clio account should enable you to work effectively, give managers and partners access to valuable insights that they need, and every member of the staff access to Clio from anywhere. That's one of the beautiful things about working with Clio is you can work from anywhere. But your data is only as good as you make it. So what kind of processes do you have in place right now, and what features are you leveraging within Clio to make sure that things are standardized, and when things like maybe billing come around, that all of your entries are as they should be? We have a lot of features built into Clio already that can help you with some of those standardizations and customizations across the firm. So things like client intake, being able to customize intake forms across different practice areas. You're not going to use one standard intake for your entire firm, are you? It's going to create a lot more backlog later on. You want to be able to evaluate a case as quickly as possible and give someone the opportunity to tell you their story. So make sure you're customizing those intake forms so that every practice area has the information that they need to evaluate a case. Calendar, we have a brand new calendar that just rolled out. There are different ways that you can utilize the calendar within your firm, from everything to deadlines to rooms that you may need to block off. Think about ways that you can use the calendar creatively and in ways that can function very well for your firm. Task list, this is something that we'll demonstrate later, but this is an automation that you can take advantage of to eliminate some redundant things that you might be doing. If you're putting the same task into Clio more than one time, you need to create a task list. Billing rates and activity types, so this can help standardize that billing process at the end of the month. Legal billing, so we have different bill themes that you can take advantage of, especially for finicky clients. You're not doing the same thing over and over again. And then reporting and data insights. Those are all things that you can customize within Clio to make the experience a little smoother for everyone. Automation. So we touched on task lists, and we'll show you how those work. Court rules. How many of you are taking advantage of that feature? Okay, only, what, 2 of you? Okay, all right. So this is a big one. This is within our Elite package, and we'll demonstrate that for you later so you can see how powerful this is and how much time it's actually going to save you. Document templates are something that you should definitely take a look at. And we have our own built into the system, as well as a ton of integrations that can help you with practice area specific documents. reminders, so you're not doing those things manually. This is 150 plus integrations. When we built this slide deck, that's where we were. We are now closer to 200 and growing. So this is all stuff that can help you automate your practice and customize it as well. And then email and workflow automation. So Rylan showed you some of it within Clio Grow. We did make some enhancements to our email integrations. So if you're not using those yet to file your emails, definitely take a look at that. And then integration. So we do want to highlight a few here. There are some that you're probably already using, like Office 365 or DocuSign, but there are also things like legal research tools like Fastcase that will help streamline that process for you and help you save your research right within Clio, log the time that you're spending doing those things. PwC Insights Officer, they are over in our exhibit hall. Definitely take a look at them to help you with some of the reports that you may need and having that sort of CFO feel for your law firm if you're not quite there and hiring one yet. Plus other integrations like ZipWhip for texting, so you're not giving out your personal number, and NetDocuments, MailChimp for email campaigns, and Logical. If you want to take a look at what kinds of integrations we've added, and if you're looking for ones that can help with specific practice areas within your firm, take a look at our growing app directory. You can find that on Clio.com and take a look at what we might be able to offer you there. So I did mention one elite feature that you definitely need. That's going to be court rules. But other things that you might have access to if you're not on the elite tier yet would be revenue reports, full text search, matter budgets, advanced tasks, and priority support. So we don't have time to demonstrate all of those for you here today, but I did want to call this one out. And so full text search, Jack mentioned this in his keynote as well. We are able to index all of the documents that you store within Clio so that you can do a natural language search for phrases. So this is really, really helpful, helps you to locate things very quickly, helps with the discovery, anything that you may need full text search power for. All right, so we are going to get into our live demo. So if we can switch that screen over. Rylan's going to steer us here.
I'll try to drive.
All right, so we're in there. So the first thing we want to demonstrate for you is court rules. So while Rylan navigates over the settings section so that we can set that up for you, the valuable thing about court rules is that anytime you have a deadline-based rule, court rule, you're typically going through your calendar and calendaring those deadlines, the tickles for them, and if that date changes or somebody gets an extension, you have to go back through and do that all over again. So how many of you are paralegals tasked with this? How painful is that? It hurts. How many of you are attorneys tasked with this? Calendaring your own deadlines. It's not pleasant. So let's demonstrate how to do this. So Clio allows you to have up to 10 jurisdictions within your court rules setting. So let's go, we're in California, so let's do California, go down to Alameda, and we'll add Alameda.
Scroll down.
Yeah, here we go. California Superior Court, Alameda. And let's also add Contra Costa. So we'll add 2 so we can show you how to do some default settings too. Awesome. All right, so we'll update those court rules jurisdictions. So now we'll head over to the default settings, which is across on the top. Perfect. And so if you have an area that you practice in more often, this is where it's going to be useful for you to select that one. But you can also drop down and select another as your default as well. You'll also have the option if you are doing the calendar rules and there's a default set and you're not practicing in that area, or this case is not set in that area, you can switch when you make that as well. But if you've got one where you're calendaring most often, this is where that's useful. It's also a default service type. So depending on your jurisdiction, there's going to be a preferred service type. For the entire firm, this is a firm setting. Well, I'll get back to that question for you. I'll have one of my colleagues take a look at that. Okay, so calendar entries default. So we also have a default calendar that can go on. So this was a customization that we were talking about. There's a calendar rule that needs to go on a calendar rules or a deadlines calendar. You can do that, or you can put it on an individual's calendar. So you'll be able to select that here and then update these settings. Perfect. All right, so now that we've done that, let us navigate to a matter. So there are two areas where you can add a new court rule set. You can do it from the main calendar on the navigation pane, but let's navigate to the Newton matter. And we will go ahead and add that rule. Perfect. All right, so we'll navigate over to the calendar. And from the drop-down, we will select New Court Rule. And we've just gotten a trial date. So let's put in trial here. We name the rule set, so this is the way you'll be able to go back in and see which rule sets you've already applied to this matter, and then be able to go back in and edit or delete them. So we'll put in trial. We've already have our default. We're in the matter, so that matter is already selected for us. And we're navigating down to the trial. Reason why I wanted to show you this, we'll select these events here. And we want to make sure that the trial date, let's edit that trial date. Let's make it December 22nd, which is a terrible date for a trial. So while the date might be terrible, look at all of the rules. I have Rylan scroll down here just to show you how many rules somebody would have been manually calendaring. Not fun. But now, in a couple of clicks, over 60 deadlines are going to be calendared for this matter. So we can go ahead and choose calendar options. We can add firm attendees here. We can add in reminders, so we can do tickles a couple of days before. We can add another reminder for 10 days before if we needed to, and add to the calendar. And so what happens is all of this is added to this matter's calendar. Just a couple of clicks, all of this is done. So worst case scenario, this trial date changes. Somebody says, you know what, it's right before the holidays. Let's push it to the new year. You get a new calendar date in the new year. You're able to go in and edit this, and all of the deadlines will now be reflected with the change date. So that's the power of doing something like this, and the power of court rules. So if you're not taking advantage of this feature, definitely take a look at that and make sure that you're utilizing it. So let us also show you matter budgets. So this is another elite feature that may be really useful for you. So let's go over to the dashboard for this matter and see if there's a budget applied to it. All right, so now we can illustrate this. So let's go over to Edit Matter. And matter budgets are going to be useful if you've got a client that says, I have a budget of $10,000, $100,000, and I don't want you to go over it for any reason for this matter. But then they come to you and they're making changes. You had a plan and they've changed the plan, and now it's becoming a little bit more costly. When you get to a certain percentage, you're able to go back to them and have a useful conversation, or tell them what you're going to be able to do with the remaining budget. It may not be the ideal resolution that they were thinking. So it allows you to have that conversation before it's too late and the money's all run out. So let's navigate down to Billing Preferences and go to Matter Has a Budget. And this is going to open up some options for you. So say the limit was $100,000. We can add that in here. You can also include expenses in this total. And we can notify certain firm users when this reaches a certain percentage. So let's say it's 80%. Perfect. You can add as many people here to that notification as possible, anyone that would want to know when this threshold has been reached. And then we can save the matter. So when we get back to the dashboard, you'll notice we now have this matter budget. And once you start billing time against what you have here, then you'll be able to see how much of that threshold has been reached. So it's a very useful feature. It can also be used in personal injury cases, for example, when you have an estimated recovery, and you might want to have certain conversations around settlement as you start to get closer to that with your client as well. All right, last thing we want to illustrate is task list. So we're going to navigate over to the task list on the left-hand side and go over on the top to list. Perfect. So we've got a couple we've already built here, but we want to illustrate quickly how you do that since many of you are not taking advantage of this feature. So let's go to the right-hand side and click Add. It's fairly simple. And we'll name this template Personal Injury Requesting Medical Records. Because certain things you got to complete over and over and over all the time. You work them up the exact same way. So let's go ahead and do that. And then when you click on the hyperlink, you're able to go into that and add in a new task. So the first thing we want to do is say, send letters of representation. You've probably assigned this to people all the time. So we can designate a specific assignee, or we can leave that blank. And we can go down to the number of calendar days it's due in. We can check that due in box right under my name, perfect. And we'll say that that's due in 3 calendar days of assignment. The other thing that's an advanced feature is advanced tasks. So you can say, you know what, it should take somebody an hour to send all of these letters, to generate and send them. So we'll estimate 1 hour, but somebody's going to be tracking time against that, and you'll start to see, is it really taking someone an hour? How can we make this a more efficient process? So it's going to give you that information by doing this here as well too. And we can also add reminders to this and save it to the task template. Excellent. So now this is a part of this right here. So we can add this to any matter that we choose, but let's go back to the list of tasks, and we've got one that's built out a little bit more. Let's take a look at the PI intake, and we'll click the Assign button, and we will navigate over to the Newton MVA, and that's July 2019, perfect, and we'll assign this list. And we can set a due date there for it as well if we need to. And we assign it. And then we go to the Newton matter. That will be in the tasks button there as well. So let's go back over to the slide deck, and we'll wrap up what we just showed you. So did anybody learn anything during that demo? Hopefully. You learned something new? Okay, good. Excellent.
Perfect. So to recap some of the aspects we went over there, we went over court rules, and hopefully everybody can see the amount of manual labor that would take off of your firm, and making sure that you're getting things in on time. We also went over matter budgets, which again puts you in control of your firm, and making sure that you're having timely conversations if those need to happen, as well as task lists, where you can begin to think about how long are certain tasks taking, efficiencies within your firms, and continue to scale out sometimes repetitive tasks. And we went through budgets and task lists. So again, ending with a question. There's a couple different things that you can bring into your firm there, but what customizations, automations, or integrations are you taking back to your firm? So to go back to our agenda, we've already gone through security, we went through Clio Grow, we just went over a demo there of some things that you can bring back to your firm. Let's move into billing and payments. So in this section, we will talk about a couple different things. We'll go over efficient billing workflows and processes to have in place. We'll do key features in Clio that you should be using to their full potential. We'll talk about electronic payments and why this is a must, as well as new releases in the platform to help to maximize your efforts in this area.
Awesome. So how many of you send bills monthly? Okay, so that's a good amount. So 70% of law firms send bills monthly. How many of you are still sending paper bills? Okay, a couple, but the majority of you are not. That's wonderful. How many of you offer early payment discounts on your bills? Okay, only a few. And how many of you experience overdue bills? All right, yeah, so that's like a little bit over half of the room. So these are pretty accurate numbers here. This is the state of billing in 2019. This is what people are doing. But how can you do things a little bit better, right? And how can you increase some of those collection rates? A lot of you are experiencing that pain. One of the practice areas in your law firm may be highlighted here, but one thing to keep in mind is that collection rates do sit low across the board in legal. But there are a couple of things that you can do to incentivize payment, to make it easier, to make your bills more accurate and descriptive for your clients so there are less questions. And utilizing electronic payments and electronic invoice delivery is where we are now. So that's definitely something that can help. Glad to see you all doing a lot of that. So here are some standard billing features. These are workflows for billing efficiency that you will experience by using Clio. So one-click customizable bills, standard time entries across your your firm, tax calculations, late fees, and early discounts. So these are features you should take care of to incentivize those timely payments, but then also take some manual work off of your plate with those tax rates as well. Email or portal bill sharing, and trust accounting. So one-click customizable bills. So our bill themes are highly customizable and give you a wonderful preview of what the bill is going to look like when your client receives it. So make sure you're taking full advantage of all of the customizations that are available to you for each client that you might have that has nuanced ways that they love to see things, or for specific practice areas as well. Tax calculations, interest, and discounts. No more manual work calculating these things. One way to incentivize early payment is a discount. So some people are like, ooh, I want to save money. I mean, I like a discount too. So incentivize early payment with a small discount. If you've got clients that you've got 5 or 6 or 7 matters with, it's worth it to offer a discount to have them bring you more business, but also to incentivize that early payment. And some people just like a deterrent. They like penalties. That's what motivates them to actually get you some money. So maybe implementing interest for late payments is the way to start going. And think about implementing this across the firm. It's going to require definitely a conversation and maybe a change in your agreement with some of these people. So it might be a difficult conversation, but especially for problem clients that are not great about paying you on time, it's worth the conversation because your team works hard and you deserve to have that cash flow coming in. And the tax calculation. So for those of you that practice in jurisdictions where there are different tax rates for either where your firm is located or where you're delivering services, it's great to have this feature automatically set so that when you run your bills, it's automatically calculated for you. And we want to talk about electronic bill sharing. You're already doing this. I don't need to spend a whole lot of time on it, but you know it cuts down on that paper waste, a lot of extra steps. Nobody likes the taste of stamps. They're disgusting. So this is great that you're already doing a lot of this. And then trust accounting. So how many of you know that you can apply trust funds on the matter level and on the client level? Okay, so you've got clients that want you to use $100,000 for 6 matters. So you would apply that on the client level. But if you've got a client that says, I know I've got 5 matters with you and this pool is totally fine here, but for this matter, I need to just give you this 20 G's and this is your budget for this. This is how I want you to handle these funds. You need to be able to do that. So you would apply those trust funds on the matter level to have them designated so that when you run your batch of bills at the end of the month, that's where those funds are going to be pulled from. So that's how you'll have that accurately reflected on your trust accounts. And bulk billing. So automating your bill generation is going to be a huge time saver if you're not doing this already. So one process that you can implement within your firm is setting a billing cutoff date. How many of you deal with people putting in their time late? Okay, set a strict billing cutoff date. Use those Clio calendars, send a reminder to everyone, billing cutoff. Okay, everybody get your time in. That is gonna make the process go a whole lot smoother. You don't have to track people down. Hopefully they're responsible enough to look at a deadline and a reminder on a calendar. Then you wanna edit those bills in sequence, giving people the time that they need in order to get those approvals done. And then bulk sharing them with clients instead of doing it one at a time, applying bulk trust payments, paying multiple invoices at once on your side, but then also on the client side. And then having those custom billing rates on the matter level so that if you have a client where you've worked out a different payment arrangement or a hybrid fee agreement, you're able to discount the standard rates for the attorneys working on that particular matter. So again, when you run those bills in bulk, they are accurately reflected. And so there are 2 new features that we want to highlight for you here. The accounts aging report, not so new, but very, very useful in this. So making sure that you understand how far past due certain clients are and trying to do what you can to get them up to speed. We do have a payment plans feature that is built into Clio Payments, so making sure that you're utilizing that to get people caught up. so that you can resume doing the work that matters. And then the outstanding balances tab. So this is a fairly new feature as well, and it's going to save you a whole lot of time, take away some pain from accurately sending invoices that are already past due. So you can send that with just one click. You can share that, and the client will get a prompt to be able to pay that electronically and see all of the amounts that are past due. So this was from the 2018 Legal Trends Report. How many of you are using Clio Payments? Okay, good amount of you. Wonderful. So among the people who have had a legal issue in the past 2 years, 50% are more likely to hire a lawyer who takes electronic payments. People want those points on their credit card. 47% are more likely to hire a lawyer who accepts automated payments or fund transfers, and 40% would never hire a lawyer who did not take credit or debit cards. So if you're not utilizing Clio Payments, take a look in the exhibit hall, go talk to our friends at LawPay. They will get you up to speed. So we do not charge you LawPay subscription fees. We have such a great partnership that we take those off of your plate. It will deposit those fees that you collect through electronic payments into your operating or trust accounts for you, log those ledgers for you too, and we have the lowest legal specific processing rates in the industry. So this is some new data that we got from this year's Legal Trends Report. 57% of electronic payments happen in the same day. Think about the way that you make your payments. I just got my electric bill, for example. Super fun. I got the email. I said, you know what, let me take care of this right now. A few clicks from my email, and I paid it. That's how clients want to operate as well. So make sure you give them this option because it's going to make your cash flow situation a whole lot better. So here's a quick workflow tip, accepting multiple invoice payments. So you want to allow your clients to pay down on multiple invoices at once. So if you've got a client where you have multiple matters that you're working on for them, this is going to kind of bulk those together. Then you also have past due clients. You can also send them you can also send this to them in the same way. So from the Clio Payments page, clients will get a notification that an invoice has been shared with them. When they log into their page, this is what the view is going to look like. So they can make a payment for any amount. You want it to be the whole amount, but if it's something lower than the whole amount, it will get applied to the oldest invoice first, and we'll have a remaining balance there for them as well. All right, and the last thing we want to talk about, it's a little bonus, logging non-billable time. Now, I know this doesn't necessarily have to do with billing, but it also has to do with productivity. As in the same way that you would log things that you want to get paid for, you also want to track the things that you're not necessarily getting paid for. And so logging non-billable time is a long-awaited feature in Clio. Hope you take advantage of it and use it because it's going to give you critical productivity insights that you can take back. So how can you make your billing process less messy? Hopefully you can think about some of this as you go back to your firms. Think about some of the features you could be utilizing a little bit better within Clio to make sure that this goes a lot more smoothly.
Perfect. So now we'll move to the last item that we'll go through, and that's the new mobile app. So a couple different points that we'd like to go over for the mobile app. That was released in, we talked about in the keynote. One, you can stay in sync with your office. So as you're in a larger firm and you're on the go, you're going to have different things that are going to be taking you away from maybe your original routine, or your routine's going to be changing. So you no longer need to be tied to your office. You can just stay in sync with the office and keep up to date with the different changes that are happening. You can capture and bill more for your time. So if you're leaving a coffee meeting, or you're not at your desk, but you had a phone call, you can just go into the mobile app, ensure that you're logging that time so it's not getting lost. You can pull up documents as well in seconds. So let's say you can access your documents and you want to share a piece of evidence, or you need to get something reviewed. You can pull that up on your mobile device. You can also dictate and log voice notes. So this is really valuable for if it's at the end of the day and you don't have time to put all of the information down, maybe as detailed as you want. You can log that voice note, leave it, come back to it, and write it out the way that you might want to be able to communicate better with everybody else in your firm. But at least it's captured somewhere quickly and efficiently. And lastly, you can be more responsive to clients' needs. So you're out with a client and you want to refer and you want to look at some notes, or you need to pull something up, you have that in your pocket. So I think the big thing about the mobile app is you can now build your practice around your life. You don't need to be tied to your office or tied to that. You can take your mobile device with you, and you can be in control of your practice.
And it gives your employees a lot more flexibility. So from the wellness perspective, having to be tied to an office or to a specific way of working kind of, cramps people's style. Like, people have lives, they have kids, they have emergencies. Things are not always easy. And so this is definitely going to up the way that you work and what you can provide to your employees as well. So if you haven't downloaded the new mobile app yet, it's definitely a different experience than the last mobile application, as Jack illustrated. So take some time to go to the App Store and download the mobile app.
Perfect. Here's some screenshots to go through. I know we want to leave some time for Q&A, so if you are interested in learning more about the mobile app, do go to the Clio Lab and get a full demo. But you can log time and look at your calendar. So how could you use Clio's mobile app to keep connected with what matters most? That's it. We've gone through all 5 of the topics. We've talked about cloud security in a growing firm. Recap on that. Clio is a secure platform that you can be using in your firm. As you continue to grow, it might be the people practices around that you want to think about, and think about bringing in a privacy guidelines into your firm. We went through Clio Grow and did an overview of the ways that can put you in control of growing your business and not leaving it to chance, but being really thoughtful about the different stages that you might want to make investments, as well as having a really client-focused firm as you continue to scale. We went through a demo and some different customizations, automations, and integrations that you can be looking at. Hopefully there's some practical things that you can take away from this talk today and put into your firm immediately. We cleaned up billing and payments, and then we went over the mobile app in quick overview.
Awesome. So we'll go back to the first question that we asked you. So how are you working together now? And how can you use Clio to make sure that you're working better together? And how are you going to improve that collaboration using some of the features that we talked about? How can you improve efficiency across your firm? And are you on the best plan for your firm? So if you're on the boutique tier and you saw some elite features today that might make things easier, it might be worth a conversation and thinking about upgrading so that you can experience some more efficiency and insights using Clio. So that's it. We're going to have about 10 minutes here for questions. So if you have any, definitely let us know.
Thank you. Perfect. We've got one question down in the front here.
The one question I have, I was speaking to LawPay and they said they've now introduced the feature of the e-check, but it hasn't been integrated into Clio, because I've got a lot of clients, corporations that won't use a credit card. It's too risky for them to pay fees. But at the same time, they don't want to have to mail checks, and this e-check concept. Do we know what Clio's going to do with that? Because from what I understand, at the moment, LawPay requires that you use their website, so it doesn't automatically update invoices.
Yep, so that is actually something that was definitely in the pipeline. We have heard that request, and we are very sensitive to it, so that is definitely something that we are considering. I can't give you a specific date on that yet. I'll get killed.
You don't want that.
Thank you. Just on the matter of budgets, is there any way to have a task-based budget as opposed to a matter-based budget?
When you say a task-based budget, can you explain the use case to me a little bit more?
Yes, we might have an ongoing matter for a client, but then they say, could you put together a contract, but I don't want to spend more than $1,500. So they may already have $10,000 in fees in this matter, but for this one task, we have a budget. So right now we kind of reverse engineer it, but it would be great to have a task-based budget.
That's definitely a great feature request, but as of right now, the feature is built to be on the matter level. And so it will take into account any time that you've previously billed before you apply that budget to it. So it's going to take a look at the entire history of that matter when it accounts for that budget. But let's definitely take some time to talk about that. I do want to log that.
And that might be an opportunity to be using the feature of the number of hours per task, and just to keep tabs on it, but yeah.
Okay, hi.
I was just wondering, the Clio scheduler, Is that something that also pushes over to the managed side, or is that simply on the Grow side?
So when your calendars are synced, that is going to work that way. And for you to actually be able to use that feature, you have to have the Clio suite, so Grow plus Manage. Nope, we got the mic over there.
So a lot of the billing features that you can use to optimize the process, like sending out bills en masse and things like that, it seems, at least so far what I've experienced with my firm, is that if you do that, the clients automatically have an option to pay with Clio Payments via credit card, and we don't necessarily want to allow that for everybody. Is there a way to customize that or turn it off or use that feature without having everybody being able to pay via credit card?
Understand that. Luke, do you have the answer to that one? Okay, perfect. I'll sync you up with Lucas so we can talk through that workflow.
When you assign tasks through the task list, is there a way to verify that the tasks have been done? Like, if I assign to her and she completes them, will it notify? Can I be notified? I don't think it does it now.
When a task is completed, I don't think the person that assigned it is notified. It's something that you'd have to run basically a report and take a look at the tasks for that matter and see what has been completed, what's overdue, to be able to verify it that way.
Thank you.
Got one more question over there?
For two-factor authorization, does it have to be sent to a cell phone, or can I get a pre-printed list of codes per employee so we don't have to obligate them to use their personal cell phones?
Yeah, you can set up, you can have a backup sync, so an additional code. So it can go to a phone and then you can have a backup code that you print out and have with you. Yeah.
Anyone else?
You were talking about various features within Elite. Do you have the ability for only certain users to utilize Elite if everyone within the firm doesn't need those features, to where some are on Elite and some are on the other platform, or does it have to be firm-wide?
So it's a firm-wide setting. So it would be all of the users within the account.
Do you have a timeline for your Canadian functionality in the court scheduling, what is it?
Court rules?
Court forms, court rules, that's right. That's a big feature of Elite, right? But it's not available in Canada, so are you working on that, or is that not on the schedule right now?
That I can't tell you. I don't know if it's on the schedule, but I believe calendar rules is in the exhibit hall, so you can go over to them and take a look at what they have available and what might be in store. But they are there. You can go speak to them. All right. Anyone else?
I think there's one more question down here,
All right.
and then we'll wrap up.
Hi, in regards to the question that gentleman asked about the budgets by task, does it track? I saw that you can add a time per task. Is there a report that shows what you put as a budget versus how much has been spent if it's something that's accumulating over time?
Yeah, you can begin to see what has been put towards each of those tasks and pull that report to see that.
Yep. So if that task is billable, then yes,
Yeah.
it will log it with that budget. All right, so folks, we're going to wrap up on the stage here. If you've got more questions for us, we'll be right over to the side. Thank you so much for coming today. Hope you learned something and hope you can take something back to your firm. You can take something back to your firm. You can take something back to your firm. You can take something back.